Greetings, friends. Welcome back. Today we have yet another Coach Excellence coaching conversations, and this time we travel all the way to Mexico, and we have another senior coach who has who's a working professional but also a coach and into several things. So, with that, let me introduce Miss Bhavani Venkatesha to all of you. Welcome to the conversation, Bhavani.
Thank you, Kiran. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Same here. Thanks a lot for making time and also being flexible on the time change. So with that, let me introduce Ms. Bhavani. She's a finance professional in one of the top Fortune 100 companies. She is a transformational coach, certified pranic energy healer, podcast host, speaker, and mentor. Her passion is to empower every individual in the field of personal mastery, create extraordinary life by helping them elevate the way they think and live life. With that, not taking much time, I will hand over the baton to Bhavani to share a little about herself so we get to know her better before we begin. Over to you, Bhavani.
Hey, first of all, this is a great thing that you're doing, Kiran. So thanks for this opportunity. And this topic of coaching is very close to my heart. So it's going to be a very heart-to-heart conversation. I can vouch on that. To talk about myself, like you said, I have been in the corporate environment for almost 18 years now. And in my capacity, I've always felt I've been coaching and mentoring people. But if you ask me, when did I actually start coaching as something that I've been doing like as a profession or helping people is in the last 3 years. So how did it start was I was having some imbalance in my own life. And that's when I got coached and I saw my life in a whole different perspective. And that's when I realized coaching is something that can make a great difference in anybody's lives. And I started with, of course, certifications, strategies, tools. But what made a big difference is when I started coaching, the experiences that I've had with people over this course of 3 years has given me a greater exposure towards coaching. And I believe emotions, body, soul, energy is all connected. And from coaching, my journey led to energy healing. And then when you have so much of knowledge, why don't you share it with the world? And then hosting a podcast. So it's been a really great journey so far, Kiran. And that's about myself.
I could take note of the emotions, body, soul, energy. That's a lot to deal with for many of us. So with that, let's begin. So before we get to start, one thing that the audience can take note from our conversation with Bhavani so far, I get to hear that she focuses on mental health, which is something that we all focus a lot upon. And as we record this conversation, there's a lot of conversation that's happening post Olympics and on the subject of mental health. So towards the later half, Ms. Bhavani would be sharing her thoughts about her focus and experience so far in the space of mental health. So please keep an eye for the later half of this conversation to get to listen right from her. With that, let's begin. Bhavani, what is coaching to you?
Kiran, coaching for me, if I have to tell it in just 2 lines in a very simple way, a lot of things around us will not change. It's going to remain the same. But with coaching, the way you see same things changes in a beautiful, positive way. So that's what coaching helps you to look at things in a different perspective. And coaching is a very gradual process for me. It's not something that you can go to 5th floor all at once. It is a step-by-step process. And a lot of times we believe it's the external factors that is leading to problems in our life. You know, like, okay, my work, I'm not doing well at work. I don't have good work environment. I don't have a great boss. I don't have a great spouse. There are always complaints we hear from people from an external perspective. But what people don't realize is it is those internal obstacles that is stopping them from, working out all of this in a beautiful manner. So I would say it's a more of an inner journey into oneself. In coaching, we talk about beliefs, thought patterns, and all of that. And somebody who's not in this personal transformational, transformation environment, they believe, like, what are these beliefs these coaches talk about? It is your own beliefs that has come in your life as a child, at work, from your teachers, that is stopping you from moving forward in life. And for me, coaching helps you to break those patterns, to break those blockages. And it helps you to look at things in a whole different way, because you've been doing the same things over and over again without any results. So that's what coaching does to you.
Great. I think it's quite an elaborate view on it. But two things stood out for me from what you shared is how the external factors and the internal factors play out. And I think one being cognizant of this itself probably can set the ball rolling for them. And also you mentioned about the inner journey and then eventually moving forward. I think they themselves are very powerful when someone starts having coaching conversations. So with that, let's move on to the next one. As you, who benefits from having a coach?
Kiran, this is a beautiful question, because as per the statistics, 98% of the people in this world, live a life of sadness, ego, and they're stressed, they're in anxiety. If you ask anybody, if you just stop someone and ask anybody, they will say, hey, I'm stressed more than ever before. It's only those 2% of the people might tell you that I am living my life to the fullest. I'm having the joy and happiness in my life. So, but even this 2% of the people will have their own mentors, coaches guiding them to wherever they are today. So if you ask me, everybody, every human being would need coaching at some point of their lifetime. And it can be multiple times as well. So it's everybody, right? Because at some point we see challenges. We see those setbacks, we see confusions, we go through anxiety. And with coaching, it helps you to kind of pull you up from that spot wherever you are, putting you into that desired spot. So I would say everyone needs coaching.
That smile says it all. And when you mentioned the word, I think most of the coaches accept in unison. It's nothing less than everybody. Everybody can benefit from having a coach once, twice, through a lifetime. So I think that's a unanimous answer. But though I cannot verify the statistics of 98%, but I can definitely agree that a good majority all around us definitely would agree that stress is playing a role in what's happening with them. And often many say that it is not being manageable, that they find it difficult to handle it. And one nice positive line that you shared was living life to the fullest. I think if we ask anyone around us, there will be no one would say no to it. Everyone wants to live life to the fullest. And it's end of the day, one life. So great. That was nice insight on who would benefit from having a coach. So with that, let's move to the next one. It's around myths. Everything around us has its own share of myths. Coaching is no exception. What would be one myth that you would like to burst for the benefit of our audience today, given a chance?
One myth that I would want people to break is, it's not an individual myth, but as a society, if you see somebody getting coached or going to a therapy or counseling, it's like a taboo. They look at that person in a whole different way. Like maybe there's something really wrong with this person. And your own family members will tell, hey, why are you going for some coaching? Is this something that you can't sort it out by yourself? I think that is the myth that people need to break and decide that coaching is something that will help their friends, their family members. It can be your own siblings that need support, and help them to support them to get coached when they are in problems. So that's the biggest myth today, Kiran. And if I see, because I've seen the Eastern and Western environment, it's predominantly high in the Eastern world. It's not that it's not there in the Western environment, but here people are more vulnerable and they do take support when it's required, at least a higher percentage of people. So, because all of us go through, like I said, problems. It's okay to take that support and come out of that inconvenience and live a beautiful life. So support people who need coaching. Don't pull them down.
That was one of the most simplest but very powerful myths being burst in a coaching conversation that people tend to look at as what's wrong with you? Why do you need a coach? So I think it quickly plays back to, as you said, the East-West part as well. I recall reading a book of a $1 trillion coach. It was about Bill Campbell, who coached none other than Steve Jobs and Eric Schmidt. So we are talking about Apple and Google. And Eric Schmidt, when he was recommended to have him as a coach, it seems he said, "What's wrong? I have been already a successful professional, and you want me to have a coach?" So after 1 year, the same gentleman shared, "I wish I had this coach for 10 years." So that itself, I think, pretty much opens the door to the possibilities of one, overcoming challenges, two, forget about challenges and talking about progress, talking about progression, talking about bigger things, better things, utilizing your life to its, again, fullest. And one word that you shared stood out was the word vulnerable. I think it started being accepted across that being vulnerable is not a wrong thing. And I think there itself, the taboo also goes out of the window, that there's nothing wrong with going and seeking a coach for oneself. Great. So with that, let's move to the next one. It would be great if you can share one of your experiences as a coach while taking care of the confidentiality aspect.
Absolutely. I've been seeing a lot of cases of burnout in the last few years, and predominantly when it comes to working women, right? And there are a lot of people that are coached. So I will take one example where this client came to me that, yeah, I've been like working from morning till late night, giving my best personally, professionally, but the end of it, I feel this is all the life is. I'm not seeing any kind of happiness. I don't see anything that serves me, right? So she came with this frustration and burnout, was not able to manage kids' work, but she was giving her best at work, not able to put across things confidently on her growth and all of that. So it was like, as women, I think women, your audience can resonate to this, what we go through as women, multitasking. It's a feeling of, um, I have too many things to do and I don't have time. I'm not there where I'm supposed to be. So when she came to me and when I started coaching her, I look at things in a very holistic way. I didn't concentrate only on her personal life or on her career. So we started taking steps, like I said, one at a time. And all those frustrations that she was facing, we were able to I was able to, we were able to get creative and get our own wisdom and strength out. And also now she sees those frustrations as experiences. Now she's laid out a beautiful layout in front of her for next like 5 years, how she wants to experience her life. And the same frustration, same fear, same anxiety, she looks at it as a, like I gave her an example of a civil engineer. You are a civil engineer and you're given a job to construct a road. You might have mountains, rivers that might come in front of you. And this was part of one of our conversation. You either have to construct a road, right? You either have to construct below, above, or side. You can't step back. So, it's great to see. She called me. She said she got promoted in like 6 months of her coaching. She's able to do confidently very well at work today. And that's what brings us joy as coaches, Kiran. So that's one of the examples. And many women today, thousands of millions of women in the world are going through this. So I think they can resonate to this.
I'm sure I got a chance to witness few of the situations where when I was held up in India, or luckily my wife is a housewife, so she was able to cope up better. But when I got to hear from my friends about how one house, at least two children, husband and wife logging into Zoom calls, and the wife also has the responsibility of taking care of the children. They're logging in, their technical challenges, rest of the household chores, and it was great whenever I could hear that spouse also was supportive of trying to help them keep the balance. Because I think the pandemic, in fact, made things complicated for working men. So I can't agree more on the subject importance of attending to this possibility or the instances of burnout and working women. And while you are mentioning about the analogy of you are a civil engineer, one line came back to me, which often I keep speaking of, is the only way out is through. How much ever we think of it otherwise or want to take a pause, still the only way out is often through. So I think that also pretty much goes along with it. And you mentioned another line which stood out for me is as seeing frustrations as past experiences. I think that's how we mostly, if you pause today and look back, so-called impossible moments or situations or experiences are things of the past that would repeat. In the future, you'll look back at the challenge that you're facing today or the burnout situation and say, it was a time that I successfully overcome. So it is possible. So great. Thanks a lot for
You're right. I
sharing.
just want to add
Yeah, please
one
go ahead.
thing here, Kiran. So, what you're saying is so right, because the same joys, same pain, same struggles that we experience is all leading towards the growth in our life.
Okay.
And when we look back, it's those struggles that has led us to whoever we are today. So I completely agree with you.
We don't like the struggle, but we like the growth that comes along with it.
Yeah. But life
Oh,
is a beautiful package of these
yeah,
experiences.
great. So with that, the audience, as promised, let's get back to something that you have been focusing upon as you shared when we were discussing, and that's about mental health. So this is a subject. I think it's a big one today on the table. I think they can call it as the elephant in the room. And everyone in Olympics it has been spoken about. After Olympics, it's being spoken about, and I'm sure it's going to be spoken about for years to come. Male, female, no exceptions. Mental health, children, aged. I think everyone. So, for the benefit of our audience, probably let's begin with to get the definition right. What is mental health as per you, your experience?
Sure. Mental health, just to tell in like one line, it's not magic, it's mindset. It all starts in your mind, and it triggers like that emotion. One emotion triggers to like a decision, and that decision leads to a choice, and that choice leads to an action, right? So in your mind, it all starts with either negative emotions or positive emotions. But when does your mental health get impacted is when you're going through that anxiety in your life, when you're going through that fear, you don't know how to manage that fear. And anxiety and fear leads to depression. Depression leads to insomnia. See, your breath and brain is all connected. Your emotions and your physical health is connected. So people need to realize as much as importance they give to physical health, they need to give importance to mental health. Now, mental health as such today with pandemic has taken a toll over everyone. Um, so that's what it is, working on your emotions, mastering your emotions, mastering your mindset. Like we discussed, seeing the same problems in a more empowering manner, considering the same fears as informants. Because fear, we believe we build a story for something that has not even happened yet. And you're going through that emotional turmoil, living in that fear and leading to other problems. So it is a combination of like, okay, I'm being judged, uh, you know, um, you're always living for others. So when you believe you don't have anything to prove, you don't have anything to defend, you don't have anything to hide, you will start living life for yourself. You will start bringing in more joy into your life by deciding what makes you happy, what are your values, what are your desires, and you will start working on things that really matter to you. So mental health is having clarity in your life, what you really need in your life, then leaving that life in the flow and going through those emotional, we call that emotional stacking. Every month, every year, those emotions are stacking and one day bursts out in a different way, which leads to a lot of mental issues.
That's a lot. I would rather request the audience to play it back once again to watch this section so that you get a better understanding of what was just shared, which is a lot to absorb at one go. Something that I could capture, which stood out for me, are when you mentioned about this mastering emotions. I think that's a big thing, and if that's achieved, I think a lot of life is starts getting in line with what how we want to see it or how we want it to be. And also, I think there's a sequence that you share: emotions, decisions, choices, actions. You're sharing something. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say, when you master the emotions or when you become emotionally clean, Kiran, whatever others are telling you, those thoughts, those people telling you anything will not impact you anymore. That is the mastery. You've got to live life like that.
Fabulous. And I think the last one also you mentioned how mental health invariably impacts your physical health. So for everyone's benefit, let's take good care of mental health as well, so your physical health as well gets benefited. So with that, we'll move on to the next one. Would you like to share some experiences of coaching conversations on this subject of mental health in short?
One of the thing is I'm specifically specialized in working with women who go through this burnout, and I help them rediscover life. And I bring in this holistic approach. Like I said, mental health and physical health both are connected. So I work on mental health as well as people having healthy body. With holistic approach, Kiran, I try to have my coaching going parallelly, but I also provide tools, ancient and modern tools that I call, and I term it as holistic fusion program, wherein I bring in mudra work for releasing the stress. I work on the tapping technique. Then a lot of because like I said, breath work. I'm an instructor in breath work and yoga as well. So these are all ancient things people have forgotten that helps them to come out of stress and anxiety. And when we, as coaches, of course, we learn how to coach, but these tools also help. This knowledge within us will help us to guide our clients to have a better life. So I bring in this together with nutritional guidance to have a better life. Like I said, the biggest reason for any problem in your body, physical body, is your emotions. And that's leading to a gastro problem. And that is leading to a heart problem. So I work in a holistic way. And if people really need, I bring in energy healing as well. So that's how, I've had miraculous effects from energy healing in my family, and now I heal people. So it's a combination that I bring in together, and it's really making a big impact in the lives of the people. And when I see that impact, that's what makes me live in that purpose, Kiran.
Great. I think that's a lot on the table that the audience are the ones who would work with you can get benefited in several ways. The only thing I could understand that everything is connected. So that's and I'm sure everyone wants this one thing, which is better life. I think
Absolutely.
fabulous. So with that, we come to the end of the questions. However, we have one bonus question that you need to help our audience with, and that is coming to the space of coaching. What would be that one advice that you would like to share with the wannabe coaches?
Sure. If you want to be a coach, the first thing that I would tell is, if you believe or if you have that passion to make an impact in the lives of the people and you want to serve people, coaching is a beautiful thing. That's when you have to get into coaching. So don't get into coaching just because, oh, there are so many coaches, let me get into sea and just swim in this, right? It's your belief that what can I do to serve people? How can I impact people? So if you want to be a coach, first of all, you got to do your own inner work. You can't be living a negative life. You can't be having negative emotions and frustrations and be a coach, because you're literally projecting your own beliefs into someone else. So do your inner work, and it's a commitment, Kiran. It's a commitment. It's sometimes a slow process, but ultimately you will get there. It's a beautiful experience. And when you see somebody's life changing, you can impact in your lifetime 100 people, 1,000 or 10,000, but you're also changing their generations, the way they will take care of their children and the beliefs that they will work on. So it's a beautiful journey. If you're committed, then you should go for it. And you got to be serving people and impacting lives. Then you got to be a coach.
Yes. I think those words always resonate with the majority of the coaches as well. One is you're having that opportunity to serve. And I think the impact that gets created with the coachee taking the lead of the conversation and transforming, changing, adapting, whatever that they is important, and working on those aspects that are close to their heart, and what is important to them. And I think it all boils down to a lot of inner work. As you mentioned, I must agree, inner work is the key for the progression of even the, not even, definitely the coaches along. Because that one last line comes while I was hearing to this is what I often heard in the coaching conversations, which goes as like this: one can't accompany a coachee to a destination where they haven't been to. So I think it has a deeper meaning that if you haven't traveled that far, that deep, that journey, you will not probably be able to find it easy when the coachee does that. I think it becomes a prerogative of all the coaches to have this high quality inner journey. And I think, as often they say, in coaching, unlike any other profession, there's only one person. In any other profession, you have the profession and the person. But I think in coaching, it's not so. It is you as a person, as a professional, and even in a coaching conversation. So it's a fabulous thing. And I'm sure this advice would
Absolutely.
support
Yeah, it's
one
one
of the
life,
coaches.
Kiran. It's one life. If you leave it right, once is enough.
So with that, we come to the end of the conversation. But before we wind up, for those who are interested to get in touch with you, what would be the easiest way to reach Bhavan?
Well, I'm on all the social media platforms, but predominantly people can reach out to me on Facebook, on Messenger. So it would be Facebook.
Okay, so I'm taking note that Facebook is your preferred channel of reaching out, and any particular handle on Facebook that they should look for.
They can just search with Bhavani Venkatesha, or I can provide you the link so you could give
Have
it
it.
to your audience.
I will have it featured on the description section so that the audience will find it easy to reach you. Great. So with that, thanks a lot for joining in for today's conversation. And for the audience, if you have liked the conversation, please go ahead and hit the like. That's how we get to know that you have enjoyed the conversation. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop in a line in the comment section. I myself or Bhavani will definitely get back to you. That's a promise. And please feel free to share this video link with as many whom you feel will benefit from it. The more, the better, and the more it gets shared, the more we will be happy that it has touched more individuals. And please feel free to go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you will get notified whenever the next video or the next conversation gets uploaded onto the channel. So with that, we come to the end of this conversation. And till we meet again next time, please be safe and be happy. And once again, thanks to Bhavani for joining in today's conversation.
Thank you, Kiran.